Lechem, everybody. Thanks for listening. Another installment of the Tikkun in depth, Rebbe Nachman's Tikkun from this beautiful book, the Breslov Institute. We have something amazing. Look, it's my hand. They took a picture of my hand. Amazing. So the Tikkun is 10 Psalms that Rebbe Nachman suggests to read. Now, a very, very special thing I have to tell you. I have to tell you a very, very special thing. And that is that you can give a class while babysitting. Isn't that amazing? You didn't know, huh? Something very special. Sometimes, even if God explicitly promised you something beautiful, something you want, something that even you hear the voice of God talking to you. Can you imagine? You're not just a regular person like me. You're a person that heard God's voice directly talking to you. You will have this, but you never get it. How do you think it'll make you feel? That's what they're talking about here, the covenant. The first covenant made with Abraham. And he told him, this land will belong to you, and your descendants will be numerous, etc., etc. What do we see? His land does not belong to him, visibly, during his time. There were a bunch of people living there. They never accepted him as the owner of this land, and he never got tons of descendants in his lifetime. He didn't see that, the blessing. So we learn a great lesson here. It says here the covenant with Abraham was explicitly made with Isaac and Jacob as well. Yet, however, it was only a promise. Jacob and his children went down to exile in Egypt, and they never saw the land yet. From being a favored elite, which basically means they were connected with God and close and feeling good and having their own sovereign place to be, they were turned into a nation of slaves, both physically and spiritually. It was in the redemption from Egypt that God began to reveal how he would fulfill his side of the covenant, to give special protection to the children of Israel, to bring them to the land of Israel. And the children of Israel sighed, this is the quote, the children of Israel sighed because of the bondage, and they cried, and God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So we see here that the children of Israel cried out. But before that, can you imagine the entire nation of slaves? I mean, we've imagined, right, African Americans, we can kind of imagine that, but that's crazy. And they had many other nations of slaves in Egypt. It wasn't just the Jewish people. The Jewish people were the lowest of the slaves over there. They thought they were treated like the slaves of slaves. Can you imagine nations of slaves being enslaved in Egypt? That's crazy. But it wasn't crazy for the other people. They were like, we're slaves, right? Okay, well, we've been slaves for a while, right? The children of Israel, they were simply 3 generations ago, they were promised the land, they lived by themselves, they were on top of the world. What are we going to do? What do people feel from such a thing, correct? Because it was promised explicitly. Can you imagine? God shows to you, not in a dream, you're awake. He says, Ben, he promises you a full, lofty, amazing, beautiful thing, you'll be a millionaire. And then you go into debt, you owe, and I don't know what. Crazy, right? So what do we learn? We learn that they just needed to hold on. That's the lesson, the greatest thing we could possibly see. Just hold on. Maybe it wasn't the right time. How maybe it wasn't? Maybe the greatness of God could only be revealed through the greatest nation getting to be the lowest of the low and going to even greater heights with connection with God. Maybe the fact that the whole world learns from the Torah, from the Bible, and learns the story, and countless millions of people connect and see themselves in the story of the slave of Egypt and the redemption from Egypt and the Jewish people. They connect with it. Maybe that's what it needed to happen, for the whole world to connect to such lofty ideas and things. To read a story from 3,500 years ago and to connect with people you never met. People are the bestseller. So you can see that the way God reveals his glory is totally up to him. The way God blesses you and all the things that you do is in his own pace. It's not going to be your pace. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be on your time schedule. It's not according to your will. You have no control over what happens. So the greatest advice is just to hold on. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. Just hold on, keep going. By the splitting of the sea, there were 3 people in whose merit the sea was split. One Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Dror Moshe brings down. Moses, what did he do? Prayed. One was Yosef HaTzadik, and his bones and his merit that were carrying his bones, they split the sea, but he was already passed. So who do we learn from? The third person was Nachshon ben Aminadav, who later was the leader of the Judah tribe of Judah. What did he do? He jumped into the sea. So people were standing there. There were 4 camps. One group said, the sea is here, this is scary, let's turn back to Egypt. Another group said, the sea is here, Egyptian army is behind us, let's go fight them. Third people said, let's jump and kill ourselves into the sea because we have no place to go, die by the Egyptians or die by the sea. And the fourth group said, let's pray to God. And God said, you're all wrong. God said, just keep going. So Nachshon ben Aminadav jumped into the sea and started going. And it's up to his knees, and he's going up to his hips, and he's going up to his neck. He's going, and when he got up to his nose, he couldn't breathe anymore if he went under the water. He said, God, I did my maximum. This is what I can do. And at that moment, God split the sea. How can it be? A regular guy, we never heard anything about him, simple guy, jumps in, just walks into the sea, makes a fool of himself. Everyone's like, what's the guy doing? It's crazy, right? But simply, what did he do? He did his best effort. This is all he could do. When there was a sea and God said, keep going, he just listened, keep going, and he just took a step and then another step until he couldn't anymore. At that point, he did everything he could. And at that point, God split the sea. The same thing by us, we learn. Not only you held on, he held on, you hold on, but you take the next possible step. You don't go crazy. Wow, the goal in front of me is so vast and impossible. I'd rather just slouch on the couch and watch a show or give up. Whatever it means for you to give up. Why? Do you have a step you can take? Good. Go take the step. Go take the next step you can do towards this sea. Everyone has their sea and everyone has their splitting of the sea. In Talmud it says to get married is harder than splitting the sea. To make a living is harder than splitting the sea. It's comparing all these things in the Talmud. So everyone has it. Equivalent metaphor in your life. Take your sea and walk. Go, step. God says He's going to split it. God's already split it for you countless times. You don't even realize the miracles that God gave you in your life. Those things that He made available that we consider, got lucky. What are you talking about? God's in control of your life in every moment. Amazing. You have the power to make God, so to speak, split your sea. You just have to keep going. You have to show God, I'm not giving up. I'm not stopping. I'm going to take one more step. And I'm going to do my maximum. You do your part. That's all we can do. And that's the best thing that works. So I urge you, any day you have, every day, take something small. Say to God, I will try, bli neder, without a vow, to do X every day. Something tiny. Talk to you for 1 second a day. Talk to you for 1 second a week. Talk to you 1 second a month. I don't care. The smallest possible thing, and then achieve it. If you say to God, this year I'll talk to you 1 second a month. Can you imagine? You need 12 seconds this year. You take 12 seconds, talk to God, did it. For the whole year, you did it. It counts as a beautiful mitzvah in heaven, a beautiful righteous deed for you. And any goal like that also. Any tiny goal like that, totally achievable, something you even goofy, something sounds funny. 1 second this year I'll talk to you. Something silly, what? Boom, did it. What are we talking? Something tiny will motivate you to do a lot. Because then you'll realize how great is moments of doing, moments of stepping the next step into your sea, how amazing, vastly infinite that gift is. You give to yourself. That gift goes to empower many others. Nachshon ben Aminadav, the sea split for him, it changed the face of history. So please, my friends, take your step, change history. Change it. You can do it. It's in your hands. Shavua Tov.